We'll go ahead and have a seat and kind of get tuned in. So just finding that steady, comfortable, aligned seat where you don't feel too much stress in the body. You can relax your shoulders and relax your jaw, but you feel like you're still very upright. Take a deep breath in through your nose and a big exhale through your mouth. Close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And just kind of take a moment, feel into your body, feel everything, all the stuff that maybe needs a little extra attention today, feel all the stuff that's just doing phenomenally well without any help. And then start breathing a little slower, a little deeper. And just kind of focus on your breath for a moment. It soothes the central nervous system, particularly if you're doing Ujjayi breath and you can hear that kind of aspirated sound. And now that we've directed our attention inward and felt our breath, we can now check in with our thoughts and just see if there are any particular thought patterns that we're aware of. We can check in with our emotions. Notice what your energy is like. Notice how connected you feel. And then let's bring palms together in front of the heart. Just taking a moment to set our intention for our practice today. If you're clear about your intention, take a deeper breath in. Exhale through your mouth. Release the hands, roll your shoulders back a couple of times, and just transition onto hands and knees. So we're going to be doing some gentle heart opening today. Nothing crazy, nothing extreme, but just a really nice way to make sure that our chest and the front of the shoulders are open. So the perfect way to start is cat-cow stretches, because when you breathe in and arch the back, that's a little baby heart opener. And when you exhale and round the back, it's the perfect counter pose. On your next exhale, just go ahead and take child's pose for a moment. Scoot forward into space. Make sure that your glutes are relaxed. So we are lengthening the low back here, and we're opening the chest and the heart a little bit. So once you get your glutes nice and soft and you're pulling with your forearms to lengthen the lumbar spine, make sure your shoulders are down the back and that the heart feels open as it points forward. And then downward facing dog. And of course, on this first down dog, if there are any little movements you need to make, like pedaling the feet, go for it. And then from your downward facing dog, walk your feet forward, keep your knees bent. We'll just hang and ragdoll for a moment. Totally relax the neck. And then on your next inhale, let's reach the arms up and overhead. Spread the fingers, lift the chest. And then exhale, palms together in front of the heart. We're going to go ahead and start with our strap. So whatever you're using for a strap, it can be anything, by the way. It doesn't have to be a yoga strap. There's all sorts of stuff that works for this. way back when I very first began teaching yoga and I didn't have a bunch of yoga straps, I had several people who donated ties, like neck ties, ugly ties that they didn't like their husbands to wear anymore or whatever. And that was what we used to use. So I had a whole bag of ties that I would go around with. So what we're going to do to open up the chest here, it's really kind of the smaller pectoral muscles. It'll feel like it's the front of the armpit. You want your arms to be really straight. So if you have tighter shoulders like I do, you may have a really wide grip. If you have more flexible shoulders, your hands will be closer together. What we want to do is keep the arms straight. We're going to inhale and take the arms behind us. When you feel a major stretch, you finish your inhale. So you kind of pause there. Then as you exhale, you press the arms down behind you. So when you initiate your exhale, you also initiate the rest of the movement. You inhale back up to that stretch point, finish inhaling, and then exhale, press the arms up and overhead. And adjust anytime you need to. You might feel things loosen up, in which case you go narrower. If you feel like an elbow is bending, you go wider. So here we go, inhaling back, and then exhaling to press through. Inhaling back up, and exhaling to press overhead. We're going to do that a couple more times. You can just kind of go at your own breath rate. Monitor how your body releases when you begin to exhale. And that's why we do that. The body relaxes when we breathe out. So it's relaxing as we're pushing through that most intense part of the stretch. As you finish out the one you're on, you can just drop your strap. We'll use it again later, but right now you're done. So feet together, palms together. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, fold forward, standing forward bend. Inhale, look up halfway, and then exhale back down. Let's step back with our right foot. So we've got a nice deep lunge with the left foot forward. Just hold that for a moment. Go ahead and drop your right knee down. Raise the arms up and overhead. Pelvis is going to tilt back as the rib cage lifts. We're going to press the hips forward. So first, we want to find that stretch in the front of the right hip. And you can just kind of keep lifting the rib cage. Roll it back a tiny bit, not a lot. We're just warming up. Maintain that hip opening and rib cage lift. Bend your elbows, squeeze them together behind you. And then if it feels okay, go ahead and interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and open the heart a little bit more. Now, if you need help with your balance, please do what's best for you. But if you can today, just begin to extend your left leg. If you need to slide it forward, you can. Flex your left ankle, lift your chest, lift the arms, push your heart forward until you begin to feel your left hamstring stretch. Then go ahead and release your hands down to either side of that left foot. And if you want to round down a little bit, go for it. And then from here, we'll just take our left knee back to meet our right knee. Wag your tail a little bit. And then those of you doing vinyasas, you may take a traditional one. The rest of us are going to move into child's pose. Take a breath. You can transition to either Sphinx or Cobra. Either one is fine. But I want you to be really conscious of the shoulders down the back and the heart forward. And then downward facing dog. From this down dog, step forward with your right foot. Nice big lunge on the right side. Drop your left knee down, raise the arms up and overhead. Pelvis is tilting back, rib cage is lifting up a little bit. We move the hips forward so that we feel this in the front of that left hip. And then maybe roll the rib cage back a little bit. Bend your elbows, squeeze them down and back. And if it feels okay, interlace the fingers behind the back, squeezing the shoulder blades together for an even deeper chest stretch. Go ahead and extend your right leg, flex the ankle, flex the toes. Keep your fingers interlaced if you can. If you have wonky balance, by all means, let go with your hands if you need to. Lengthen forward first. Take a couple of breaths. And then go ahead and release your hands down on either side of that right foot. And you can even round down a little bit if you want to. And then we're going to step forward to our standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway. And then back down. Good, have you step back onto your hands and knees. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is separate your knees, but let your big toes touch. We're going to do an extended child's pose. And some of you guys may do this already anyway. The idea is going to let your buns come back, but we're going to keep the arms out in front of us. Just kind of nestle your torso and your forehead down. Now, if you can, while you're here with your forehead on the ground, bring your palms together. And I want you to just start reaching your hands back towards the back of your neck. You might feel a tiny stretch in the back of the arms or through the chest. Just kind of, this is a good way for you to test the waters. We're going to do it a little bit deeper here in just a second. So release out of that. Come back up onto hands and knees. And bring your knees directly under your hips. So you're kind of back in just a neutral all fours position. I want you to bring your left forearm across the front of the mat. We're doing that half heart opener. Your right arm is going to reach forward while your tailbone reaches back. Your forehead rests on your left forearm. You just let that right armpit kind of drop down towards the mat. And then we'll just switch sides. Right forearm across the front of the mat. Left arm reaches out. Go ahead and come on up from there. Pause for a moment on all fours. If you need to wiggle your shoulders, go for it. Those of you with shoulder issues, please be mindful. If any of this doesn't feel good to you, you just skip it. So if you can, you're going to keep your thighs reasonably vertical. And what I'd like you to do is just bring the forearms down and walk them forward a little bit. See if you can get your forehead to the mat. You should feel a little bit of a stretch here already. Then I want you to bring your palms together like we did a moment ago in child's pose and start bringing those hands back towards the back of the neck or the upper back and see if you can let your chest sink a little bit. You should feel this kind of as an armpit stretch, front part of the upper chest. Go ahead and come on up from that, hands and knees. Wiggle your shoulders a little bit if you need to. So we've kind of been slowly progressing forward. Now we're going to take it into full melting heart pose or Anahatasana, heart opening pose. Thighs stay vertical. Again, be mindful. If you have shoulder issues, you're going to take very straight arms out in front of you now. And just start letting the chest sink. So if the shoulders are tight, the forehead comes to the floor. If you have more shoulder mobility, your chest will be on the floor. Come all the way up from that and take a traditional rounded backed child's pose. From here, those of you doing vinyasas take off. The rest of us are going to scoot forward into Sphinx or Cobra. Open the chest. And then come into downward facing dog. From this down dog, you can either walk or run your feet forward if you're feeling perky today. A little walk. Fold forward into your forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. So we're going to use our strap now to open up the chest in Dancer. And I'm going to have you guys do it in a way that if you're having a balance challenge day, and we all have them, that you're still going to get this. So we'll do one arm at a time instead of the traditional two-armed way to do it. So you don't have to make a loop with your strap. I'm giving you guys lots of passes today, right? So let me just kind of show you what I'm hoping for. We're going to stand on the left foot first, and I'm going to turn sideways for you. If you've got your strap, just kind of make a loop with it, hold both sides of the strap, reach down and loop your right foot, and then maybe choke up a little bit on the length. It depends on your shoulder mobility. All right, so here's the deal. Once you have your foot looped and you've got both parts of the strap in your right hand, I want you to bring your right leg behind you and then point your right elbow at the ceiling. Now, depends on you. If you're balance challenged today, hang on to something with your left hand. If you can raise the left arm up, do that. Either way, what I want you to do is push your right leg back to pull open the upper chest. So it's less about the hip today and more about the upper body. So you might need to take up a little more slack and then push the leg back until you feel the back of your right arm, which is your tricep, your right armpit, and the right side of the chest and rib cage should all be stretching and opening. So you're using your leg strength to open your chest. Take a couple of breaths. Remember, it's okay to hang on if you need to. And then you can just come on out of that, and we'll do the other foot. So you're standing on your right foot. You loop the left. And remember, you have to have that overhead grip or it doesn't work. So it's kind of why it's nice not to have the loop, because you can slide your hand if you need to. So you're going to grab both sides of the strap with your left hand. Right arm can either hang on to something or be in the air. It's up to you. Bring the left leg behind you and then point your left elbow at the ceiling. Once you get that, you push the leg back as much as you can to open up the back of your left arm, left side of the chest or rib cage. So you're using your leg strength to open your heart. And then breathe. You should feel into your left armpit, left side of the chest, left rib cage, left tricep. All right, bring it back down. You can drop your strap. Roll your shoulders back for a moment. And I'm still going to give you that same free pass with hanging on to something if you need to, which I normally don't. But today it's more about opening the heart, less about balance. So we're going to go back to standing on the left foot. You're going to do Dancer a second time. So hang on to something with your left hand if you need to. But I want you to have your right arm out like you're carrying a tray. Keep your hand just like it is, but kind of reach behind you. And then just put your right foot in your hand. So you're actually grabbing the big toe side of your foot. Left hand is either hanging onto something or it's up in the air. You're going to push back with that leg again, just like you did a moment ago, until you feel the front of your right shoulder and chest opening. Now, if you're hanging onto something, stay upright. If you've got your arm extended, you're welcome to lean into the pose. The idea being you're looking for a stretch sensation in the front of your right shoulder, right side of the chest, and then we come back up. So same thing on the other side. And the reason I've got you doing the tray thing is people can be very creative and flip their hand real quick when they reach back, and it can be bad for your shoulders. So you're gonna stand on your right foot. All right, get that tray of hors d'oeuvres in your left hand. Your palm is up. You're just reaching it back a little bit. Put your left foot in your left hand. Then take that right arm straight up towards the ceiling, or hang on to something. Push back with that left foot. You're pushing with your leg so that you're getting maximum opening on the front of your left shoulder, left side of the chest. And then come back up and release. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times. Good. And then just turn sideways on your mat. Take a nice wide step. Toes are going to point directly forward. Interlace your fingers behind your back. You've done this a few times already today. Squeeze those shoulder blades together nice and tight. Lift your chest, lift your arms. Take a couple of breaths like this, really opening up the heart. And then if you can, hinge at your hips, relax your neck, reach those arms up towards the ceiling. And then you can release your hands down to your thighs and just press yourself all the way back up. What I'd like you to do is rotate your left foot out so it's parallel to the long sides of the mat, and rotate your right foot in. And then if you need to adjust your stance, go for it. We're going to go ahead and rotate all the way towards the left to come into warrior one. So your left knee is going to bend. Those arms are going to come up and overhead. From here, I want you to take your arms out to the side, palms up, lift your chest, roll it back slightly. Reach those thumbs back towards the wall behind you. And straighten your leg, interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze those shoulder blades together again. Make sure your hips are pointed forward. So we kind of did this when we were down on one knee. I want you to lengthen out over your left leg. Keep those shoulder blades squeezed together. Take one more breath here. And then go ahead and bring your hands down on either side of that left foot, or they can be on blocks or on your shin. And drape forward over your left leg. Take a couple of breaths. Bend your left knee, come all the way back up into your warrior one. And then you can straighten your left leg. Relax your arms. We're going to rotate all the way around. So, right foot's parallel to the long sides of the mat. Widen your stance if you need to. We're preparing for warrior one to the right. You're going to bend your right knee. Make sure those hips are rotated as far forward as you can. Arms are up and overhead. You're finding warrior one. And then if you can, you take those arms straight out to the side, palms up. Lift the chest a little bit. Reach the arms back. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze and your heart open. Interlace your fingers behind your back, straightening your right leg. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, rotate those hips forward, lengthen out over your right thigh. Release your hands down, either side of the right foot, or they can be on the shin or blocks. Just kind of drape over that right thigh. Bend your right knee. Come all the way back up. Arms are up and overhead. Warrior one. And then you can straighten your legs. Rotate the feet forward again. Bring them maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width. If you can, your toes are pointing forward. We're going to take a moment in a yogic squat, whatever that looks like for you, whether your hands are on your thighs or your buns are all the way down. Take a couple of breaths. This will lengthen out your low back. Try to get your tailbone to point at the ceiling. And then come all the way up. Step your feet together to the front of the mat, palms together in Anjali Mudra. Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. Step back onto hands and knees. Feel free to wag your tail or do a cat-cow stretch if you need to. So from here, we're going to be coming into half camel, Ardha Ustrasana. So I want you to come up to kneeling. And remember, you only go as far as is good for you. We're going to start with the right hand at the hip, just above your right glute. You're going to tilt your pelvis back, push the hips forward, try and keep your thighs vertical. I want you to reach your left arm up and back. Lift your chest, roll that rib cage back. Keep lifting the chest for length. Now, if you're happy here, stay here. If you want to reach the right hand back for the right heel, go for it. Take a couple of breaths high up into your chest. Come all the way back up. We're going to take left hand to the left hip, just above the glute. Tilt the pelvis, push the hips forward. Reach the right arm back as you lift your heart. So you're coming from an upper back curve, letting whatever little bit of lower back curve happen naturally, but we're not trying to, kind of crimp the low back. You want to keep it long. So you lift the chest and roll it back. Purely optional to reach back for the left heel with the left hand. Try and breathe high up into your chest here. And then come on up from that and take a full-on child's pose. Forehead down. If you can, your hands are back by your feet. Take a couple of breaths. And then go ahead and come back onto all fours. I want you to wag your tail again. Cat-cow stretches if you like. Because we're going to go for a full camel, and that's going to look different for everyone. So if you have a super supple back, you can keep your feet untucked. If you prefer, toes are turned under. It's whatever feels best for you, all right? Well, we're going to start it the same way and take our time with it. Both hands on the hips, just above the glutes. Tilt the pelvis back, lift the rib cage, and just start to arch back. And this might be it, and this is plenty. You want to maintain length in the low back. If you're feeling it, you can reach back for the heels with the hands, but if you find yourself leaning back to get it, then don't do it. Breathe high into the chest. And come on up from that. One more full-on child's pose. Forehead down, hands back by your feet. You want to really try and breathe into your low back. It should feel quite rounded here. So you get lots of length in the low back. Those of you that do traditional vinyasas, you can shift into that from here. And then the rest of us will just slide forward into either Sphinx or Cobra, whichever one of those suits your fancy. And then downward facing dog. Tailbone up and back, just stretch, lengthen. Walk your feet forward. Standing forward bend. Inhale, arms reach all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Grab your strap one more time. So we're gonna go back to the stretch that we did at the very beginning of class. I want you to feel if there's any difference. Hopefully it's a little easier for you to do this, or you might notice a different range of movement or motion. So grab your strap, straight arms. It's exactly like what we did before. You're gonna inhale the arms back. Exhale as you press the arms through. Inhale back up. And exhale as you press up and overhead. Just follow your own breath rate. Notice if anything feels different in the chest and shoulders when you do this. One more time, down and back. Maybe it feels looser or warmer or just less resistance. Then we're going to keep the strap, but we're going to grab it from behind our back. I'm going to turn around and show you. So your hands are basically just pointing straight back. You've just reached back to grab your strap, and you're going to have it at about shoulder width. And try not to wrap your hands around it. I want you to be able to slide the hands if you need to. So you just have a nice loose grip on your strap. It's about hip width. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the arms back behind us, and one more time, hinge at your hips, fold forward, relax the neck, and reach those arms up towards the ceiling. For those of us with tight shoulders, this makes it easier to get a little bit more range of motion than when we have our fingers interlaced. So maybe that's you, maybe not. If you notice that your hands want to go wider, let them. Take one more breath. And then come on up. And you can release your strap. You're done with it. Bringing your feet together. Bring your palms together. Take a big inhale. Reach the arms up. And then exhale and fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. From here, you can either take one last vinyasa, or you can follow me through one last gentle flow, moving into your child's pose. And then your Sphinx or Cobra. And then downward facing dog. Really lengthen in this down dog. Maximum spinal length. Make sure you've got space on the front and back side of your torso. So you're not, in other words, in this position, you're not compressing the upper back. You're not squeezing your shoulder blades together. And then you can just walk your feet forward, have a seat. Take a moment in Dandasana to just kind of check in. So you're just kind of making sure everything's okay, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And then we're going to inhale and reach the arms up, lift the chest up, and as you exhale, push your chest forward, lengthen your spine before you reach for whatever you're going to reach for. Keep your heart and your head up for this first part of your forward bend. Take a couple of breaths here. So this is still just lengthening the low back. Now go ahead and raise back up a little bit. Be mindful of this. But tuck your chin to your chest and slowly roll or curl down like you're trying to put the top of your head on your thighs. That's going to feel very different, and stretch out the upper back. Good. Come on up from that. Give your legs a little bit of a wiggle. Excellent. From here, we're going to work one move. It's traditional table posture in yoga. A lot of yogis call all fours tabletop, but old school yogis, the old people like me, the original one is actually face up. It's quite nice on the shoulders if your shoulders are supple. It might be a little challenging if they're tight, so be mindful of that. But you can also take it into an upward facing plank, and I'll show you those options. So what I want you to do is just plant your feet nice and flat, about sit bone distance apart. And then if your wrist can handle it, your fingers point at your backside. If you need to, the hands can point out to the sides, but I recommend against pointing your fingers behind you. It puts a lot of stress at the elbow joint. So basically, if you can, you start to lift your hips and try and get yourself as close to horizontal as possible. And you'll feel this is a stretch through the shoulders. Now, for those of you who can, you're welcome to extend your legs and keep lifting the feet and make it an upward facing plank. If you prefer tabletop, just try and be horizontal. Take a couple more breaths. And then we'll just bring the backside back down. I want you to extend your right leg and bring the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Just lean out over your right leg for a moment. Nice deep stretch. Coming up from that, and we're just going to extend the left leg out. Bring the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Lean out over your left leg. Nice deep stretch on this side. These forward bends are really good counter poses for those backward bending postures. And then coming up from that, extend your right leg out and give it a good wiggle. Good. And then I want you to just come into an easy cross-legged position. And if that's not comfortable for you, you should be able to do this with legs straight as well. We're just going to be doing a little bit of a heart opener with a twist. So the first thing I would like you to do is take your left hand behind your head. You're going to reach your right arm all the way around behind you like you would for a twist, planted on the floor, and then open that left elbow back up towards the ceiling. In this case, depending upon your body, but you most likely will feel a stretch on the front of the right shoulder and also the left armpit. Then go ahead and transfer that left hand to your right knee and complete your twist, rotating all the way around to the right. Come back to the center, roll your shoulders back. Take your right hand behind your head. Take your left arm all the way around behind you like you would for your twist, but once you get it planted on the floor, open that right elbow up towards the ceiling. So again, in this position, right armpit feels like it's stretching front of the left shoulder. And then just take your right hand to your left knee, lengthen the spine, complete your twist. Rotate back around, bring the soles of the feet together. Go ahead and grab your toes today. Yes. And just nestle yourself forward and down. If you want to round the back here, like you're going to put your head on your feet, that's fine as long as it feels okay to you. And then coming up from that, extend your legs, give them a good wiggle. Then we're going to roll down onto our backs, hug the knees in, rock side to side. So we're just going to do full on bridge for our inversion.
However, let me just say, I know this is the soft and slow class, so I'm not going to recommend it or demonstrate it. But for those of you, if you do have a deeper practice and you do a full back bend, you're welcome to do that now. Your body's primed for it. It's just kind of not what we normally do in this class. But I don't want to hold anybody back. So if you want to do a full back bend, you can. The rest of us are going to bring our big toes to touch. Heels separate. The entire sole is nice and flat. Your heels are as close to your backside as you can get them. Hands or palms down by your hips. I want you to just lift your hips as high as you can. So if you need to keep your spine neutral, you can do that. But if you can, you're going to really press your hips up and lift your heart. You're welcome to interlace the fingers and kind of roll onto the back of the arms if you like doing that. 3 more breaths here. Really trying to open up your heart. And on your next exhale, just slowly lower it down. You can hug your knees into your chest. Rock side to side. So one of the nicest ways to unwind the back is by reflex release. And what that really means is I'm very nicely saying we're going to do some deep transversus abdominis work, which is basically ab work because it makes the low back release. So here's what I'd like you to do. Extend your legs as straight up as you can. What your body is going to want to do is pull your legs towards you to make your back flat. I'm going to ask you to keep your legs vertical, or if you're feeling hardcore today, beyond vertical. We're going to use abdominal muscles to flatten the back, not the tilt of the pelvis. All right, so here we go. Interlace your fingers behind your neck and point your elbows at the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. Hold your breath, flatten your back using abdominal muscles, and then exhale. Crunch your elbows towards your thighs. Keep your legs extended, feet reaching for the ceiling, empty your lungs. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale and crunch. Feet are active. Don't let the legs start sneaking towards you. Keep those thighs vertical, empty your lungs. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale and crunch. We're going to do 2 more. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale, crunch. Last one, inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale, and crunch. Hug your knees in, side to side rock. That's the last hard thing you have to do today. Everything else is pretty yummy. So we're just going to keep the knees bent and together and drop them over to the right. Let the left arm open out to the left. Now, if you're pretty flexible and your spine likes to rotate, you're going to have your left arm completely on the ground and your knees together, right? If you want to try and get a little more chest opening, you bring your knees all the way together and line them up and just try and get a little bit of space under that left shoulder blade so that gravity can help you. If you're in that position and you're still flat on the ground, you're good. Like, you're good, right? The rest of us, if we have tighter shoulders, this is a beautiful opportunity to let gravity help us open them. So I've got my knees all the way together and I'm holding them down and together with my right arm. So my left arm's just kind of hanging in the air. And what's lovely about that is gravity and the weight of my arm are gently, gently stretching out all my chest and shoulder muscles. So get to the place where you can feel something. We'll take just a couple more breaths on this side. And then go ahead and come on back up. You can hug your knees in, rock side to side if you like. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Just keep your knees together and down. You're going to drop them to the left and let your right arm open out to the right. And again, make any adjustments that you need to make so that you feel this as much as you would like in the right side of the chest, right shoulder. One more breath on this side. And then on your next inhale, just come on back up as you exhale. Hug your knees in, rock side to side. Going to reach down, grab the outside edges of your feet, do a little happy baby. Just kind of move around, a little bit of freestyle, whatever feels good to you. When you're ready, you can place your feet flat on the mat. I'm just going to do a couple of those gentle hip rolls, exhaling, letting your knees drop a little bit to one side, inhaling, bringing them back up, exhaling, dropping them the opposite direction. And then the next time that your knees come to the center, allow them to drop open. So we're just going to rest with the soles of the feet together, knees apart. Just breathe for a couple of breaths here. And then we'll do our final low back release. As you next breathe in, you're going to press your low back into the mat. So you're just tilting the pelvis back, taking the curve out of your spine. Just breathing normal while you keep your back pressed into the mat. On your next exhale, release that. And then one more time, inhale, flatten back, press, press, press. And release. Extend your legs. Wiggle them a little bit if you need to. Make sure your glutes are soft and relaxed. Your spine feels long. Your hands are down below your heart. Your palms are facing the ceiling. Your neck is long. Your eyes are closed. Your jaw is relaxed. Your forehead is smooth. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. Just give yourself a few breaths to really feel your body just relaxing and melting into the floor. Notice that your breathing gets softer, it gets quieter, it's gentler. And then let's bring our awareness to the chest. So we did all of this heart opening. From a purely physical perspective, it's so important. We as modern humans just continually hunch and round forward over our devices, over our steering wheels, over our plates. We're constantly rounding forward and very rarely arching back. And so this type of practice provides kind of the antidote to our modern lives. It allows us to maintain some modicum of muscular balance in the upper torso. From a more energetic perspective, when we open our heart,
a couple of things happen. We can let stuff go, which is great. It's like an open door. Anything that needs to leave can leave, right? So sometimes we might feel grief or sadness or anger or joy or happiness and euphoria. Any of those things can arise. So we let out anything that we need to let out, but we also open up and allow in anything that needs to come in. And when we are particular about how we do that, what we can do is use that to open to the experience of our lives. We're fully open to it. So instead of having some expectation of how something should be, which immediately closes us down, we can simply be open to all the possibilities, to the full experience of being human, being here, and being in the moment. So for these next few minutes of Shavasana, I invite you to just stay open, stay present, and stay aware. Notice if you've been able to stay fully open, fully present. Notice if your mind has been active, trying to get your attention. Notice how your body feels right now. Notice how quiet and soft your breath is. Notice what your energy is like. Notice your sense of connection. And start to bring a little movement back. Maybe gently wiggling your fingers and toes or fluttering the eyelids. Start to breathe a little deeper. When you're ready, take an extremely deep breath in and spread your fingers and toes, and then exhale with a soft sigh as you relax them. Even deeper breath in, stretch and lengthen, and then exhale and relax. When you're ready, bend your knees, roll to your right side, and press yourself up into sitting. And as you come to your seated position, just find that nice, comfortably aligned spine, shoulders are relaxed, jaws relaxed, everything feels really good. Just kind of take a moment and check back in with yourself. And then just let your breathing be normal. So for our pranayama today, we're going to do Aham Garaha, which is without effort pranayama. So all you're doing is just breathing normally, not controlling it, not deepening it, definitely not doing Ujjayi breath. You're just breathing. Chances are your breath is still quiet and somewhat shallow from your Shavasana. Just begin to feel those natural inhales in the upper part of your nostrils. Notice that that sensation goes as though it's moving towards the point between your eyebrows. Notice that you can feel your breath in the upper part of the nostrils as it moves towards that point between the eyebrows, and also be aware of that sensation of expansion around the heart as you inhale. So you feel the breath in the nose moving towards your third eye point, and you're also able to feel your heart expand at the same time. And at the same time, you can have a generalized awareness of the crown of your head. All of this just with zero effort. Feeling the breath moving towards the third eye point. Feeling the expansion around the heart. Feeling just a general awareness of the crown of your head with every breath. Soft, gentle, easy. No effort. And just slowly bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment in gratitude for the beautiful heart that's beating inside your chest, the muscle that provides your entire body with blood and oxygen and removes everything you don't need. It's an amazing muscle. Also take a moment in gratitude for your energetic heart. It's what people sense about you. It's what you put out. And when we have our hearts open, we're putting out good stuff. We're receiving good stuff, and we are open to allow whatever life wants to give us. We're open to experience everything, life at its fullest. Take one more deep breath in gratitude for that. Big exhale through the mouth. Bringing palms to the forehead. We're just reminded to constantly bring ourselves back to the present moment, to be present, to be aware. Bringing our palms together in front of our mouths, we're reminded to speak our truth, but to speak with kindness in a way that can be heard. Bringing our palms together in front of our hearts, we're reminded to keep these beautiful hearts open. So always, always practice kindness, compassion, understanding, love, and to remember to include ourselves in that. Thank you guys for joining me today. Namaste.